Okay, here you go. Okay, something hopefully that you'll enjoy. How's that? Thank you. Now, I noticed you didn't clap when I did that, so I'm going to do it one more. No, we'll do it one more time. And you might even get out your phone and be like, oh, hashtag WNL. Look what I did. Okay, maybe not. Okay, one more time. If you didn't get your phone out, now is the time. Ready? Here we go. One more time. And hey. Well, that wasn't as exciting as the first time, but that's okay. That's all right. Hi, everybody. Hi. My name is Joshua Routh. It is my great pleasure to be here with you today. We're going to be talking about creating a complaint-free world. Who would like a complaint-free world? Raise your hand. Who would settle for a complaint-free workplace? Yeah, well, we're going to be talking about those things here today. And I want to thank WNL for having me. Give them a big round of applause. I was really excited to hear that I actually get to be speaking for nurses and nursing organizations and so on and so forth, because my aunt was a nurse for 33 years at an emergency room. My cousin works in a children's hospital. I actually got my start. April was talking before. She was talking about nursing homes, and I got my start as a clown in nursing homes way back in the day. I would go around and I would greet people and have fun, and then I started doing children's hospitals, and then I started performing in hospitals, and still today, I work at St. Louis Children's Hospital about 4 times a month. It's my charity work that I do pro bono, and I go in and I entertain, and they have this really cool thing there that I absolutely adore. They have a TV studio in the hospital. And in that TV studio, they put me on a screen, and the kids can call in from their rooms, and I'm putting on a magic show or doing some stuff for the kids and things like that, and we get to interact with them, and it's really, really cool. And we bring in other performers and things like that. So I'm honored to be spending time with you people here today. So thank you so very much for coming out, and thank you for sticking around for the last one here today. I'm going to make it worth your while. One more thing, I came from St. Louis. April put that picture up earlier of St. Louis, and I was like, ooh, and I took a picture. I was like, she's talking about St. Louis. And then she started talking about redlining, and I was like, delete the picture, delete the picture. We won't post about that. It's a true fact about St. Louis. It's a very interesting place in our dynamics. We have a thing called the Del Mar Divide, which is a road where one group of people lives on one side of Del Mar and another group of people lives on the other side of Del Mar, and we have a lot of segregation and we have a lot of issues, and we're trying to work through them, but it's a struggle. So thank you for calling attention to that, April, and your talk was amazing. Give her a huge round of applause. Thank you. All right. The moment you've all been waiting for, a complaint-free world. Why a complaint-free world? Do you hear a lot of complaining? Really? Do you find yourself complaining a lot? It depends on the complaints. Would you like a way to deal with complaints? Would you like to turn complainers into collaborators? Okay, and that's what we're going to do here today. All right, a little bit about my background. Again, I own a company called Circus Kaput. We have about 50 performers who do 850 events a year. So I deal with all different kinds of people. Very much like you. You deal with a wide variety of populations. We deal with a wide variety of populations as well. Also, I deal with managing teams and performers, and many of you manage teams and performers. And also, like you, many of my teams and performers are divas. Only mine are the real divas. Green M&M type divas. I don't know, maybe some of you, do you have green M&M type divas? Some of you have green M&M type divas. So I found myself complaining about my performers quite a lot. This person's asking for this, or this person's complaining because they were having all these issues on their gig, or they were having these issues with this client, or so on and so forth. And some of the things I could deal with, and some of those things I could be accountable for, and some of those where people were just venting, or just dumping, or using my ear as a dumpster. Sound familiar? Say yes. Yes. And I called my friend Will Bowen, and this is Will. Will Bowen is, sorry, I got to go back. I pressed the button too. I hate when that happens. We'll go back. There he is. There's Will and his smiling face. Will Bowen is a friend of mine that I met at a speaking conference. And we were just hanging out, and he found out that I was a magician, and he wanted to learn some magic, so we did some magic tricks and just had fun. That turned into a many years long friendship where he would text me pictures or video of people like Chris Angel or David Copperfield floating across the Grand Canyon and be like, how did they do that, right? And that's what I get a lot from my friends. And we were friends for a few years. One day I was talking to him on the phone, and I was complaining to him about my performers. And he said, you can't do that with me. I was like, what, I can't tell you about my life and what's going on and all this? And he goes, no, I'm the complaint-free guy. You can't complain to me. So here's the thing. I'd been friends with this guy for 2 years. I had no idea what he spoke about. That's how self-centered I am. 2 years I was friends with Will. And I had no idea what this man spoke about. He knew all about me, because I'm a performer, and we like to talk about me and more about me and me and me and me. So he told me, I'm the complaint-free guy. Let me send you my book. Let me send you some of my bracelets, which many of you have out there. And I was like, bracelets? What is that about? He said, well, you're going to need several, and you'll find out why when you read the book. So I get his book, and I read it, and it's all about why people complain, how people complain, and how to turn those complainers into collaborators. And as any business owner or team leader does, often we find that book, and we're disseminators of information. We start running around going, you need to read this book, you need to read this book, you need this bracelet, you have to do this, this is the challenge, do the challenge, all that, right? And I started getting my team to do it. And I said to my performers, I had a couple of divas. They were my top earners, great performers, and I said to a couple of them, I said, here's the thing. I need you to read this book and do the challenge that's in the book, or you're going to have to find another place to work. You're going to have to find another agent. Now, that was really hard to do because I had done the challenge myself. In the book, there's a 21-day challenge. Go 21 days without complaining. All right? That's what the bracelet is for. Every time you complain, you start with it on your wrist. Every time you complain, you switch it to the other wrist, and you start over at day one. So it's a constant battle of going day one, 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 day one. Day two, day one, day one, day one, day one, day one, right? But I did it. It took me 4 months, but I did it, and it changed my life. My wife loved that I did this. I wish she would do it. Just kidding. I'm kidding. She did do it. I say that joke because it's kind of funny. We all know. But no, after seeing the benefits of it in my life and seeing the benefits of it in our business, my wife eventually came around and she did it too. And because I had other performers doing it, I said to these top 2 performers, I said, I want you to do this challenge. I want you to do it. I want you to read the book. And if you don't, I'm sorry, this is not the place for you. Because even though they were my top earners, even though they were out there hustling and doing great, they were bringing everybody else down. They were more complicated. They had more things that they needed all the time, and they were constantly complaining about this and that customer and so on and so forth. And it was bringing the energy in the room down. We know these people, right? And it was the hardest thing to do when I said that to them, and I had to walk to the door and stand there and wait for them to go through, because go through they did. Go through they did. They left. And I was worried at that point. I was like, how is my business going to survive this? But I had a little faith that, you know what, the people that are growing, the people that are coming up, if we have a positive attitude, we all grow together, things will get better. The next year, our business grew by 30%. Next year, another 30%. This past year, not so good, but still, 2 years of 30% growth was really good. The problem with last year was there was a lot of crime in St. Louis, as we were talking about, and a lot of events weren't coming to St. Louis. So that took us down a little bit. But this year we're coming back again, and it's getting better and better. And what I find is it's not just about the dollars and cents, and you all know this. It's not all about budgets. It's about having a team that you want to go see every day. A team that you want to work around, people that you want to spend time with, because we spend a lot of time around the people that we work with. Sometimes we've heard work wives and so on and so forth. We spend a lot of time around these people. I was talking to someone last night in the bar, and I can't remember, I don't know who it was because I can't see everybody here, but clearly. But here's the thing. We were talking about the mornings, overnight nurses. And my aunt was an overnight nurse. Who was I talking about? Are they still here? Yeah, there you are. Yes! I was looking around for you, and I was talking about overnight nurses, and I was talking about how my aunt who I adore, would work overnights at the hospital, and then everyone would go out for mimosas in the morning for breakfast, and they'd go to a breakfast place, and they'd all hang out and have breakfast together, right? And that was the end of the shift kind of thing. And I asked her about that. She goes, I could never do that because I had children. I said, my aunt had children too. I don't know. And I'll ask her about that. So today I want to talk about those things. If you're excited about it, say yes. All right, here we go. In 2006, Will Bowen had a class that he was teaching, and this class was about prosperity. Oh, why is it not showing so good there? Sorry, that's weird. We'll go back to it in a second. Tom, it's your fault. Make me fix, do push button. Okay. You can tell I'm not a technology guy. Does this thing work? I'll speak for a living. In 2006, Will was teaching a class. He was teaching this class on how to help people be more prosperous. This is how it all started. 2006, he was teaching a class on prosperity. And he looked around the room and he said, who wants to be more prosperous? Everyone raise your hand if you want to be more prosperous. Who wants to be more prosperous? If you want to be more prosperous, raise your hand. Yeah, everybody raised their hand. And then he realized these are the same people that were complaining about everything that they had. So why would you want more if you complain about everything that you have? And he realized, I don't need to teach these people how to be more prosperous. I need to teach them to be more grateful. We need to have a lesson in gratitude. And that's how he came up with the bracelet, because that was the era of Live Strong. Remember the Live Strong bracelets and all that? And also, just so you know, 2006, it was before the financial crisis, right? It was before the housing collapse. It was the most prosperous time in our history, and yet we wanted more. And that's who we are. We always want more. I mean, I'll tell you, I just bought the new iPhone. Is there anything different? Probably not, but I bought it because my wife said I should, right? And I listened to my wife. But the thing is, that's what we do. We want more, we buy more, we want more things, we want bigger houses, nicer houses, better for our families, we want more prosperity. But we often complain about the things that we have. So if you're unhappy with what you have, why do you want more? That's the big question. Because the opposite of complaining is gratitude. And gratitude is about what is present and what is working. And complaining is about what is wrong and what is missing. All right? When we have gratitude, we are focused on the things that are present, what is right now, and what is working in our lives. Those are the things that we think about when we're feeling good about our lives. But when we're complaining, we're only focusing on what's missing and what's wrong. And when we focus, you know, what you focus on expands. So if you're complaining about things and you're focusing on these things to complain about, you're expanding those problems and expanding those problems. But if you focus on things that you're grateful for, you'll get more grateful and you will be more prosperous. I think. No promises. She's going to okay, I'm going to think stock market. All right. So the challenge, 21 days, right? 21 days of switching the bracelet back and forth. It's not as hard as you think, but it's a mindfulness tool. And there's 2 reasons why this is so important. Number 1, there is too much complaining in the world. If you agree, say yes. And also, the world is not the way we like it to be. If you agree, say yes. That's why people complain. That's the world we live in today. Those 2 are directly correlated to one another. We keep thinking about, focusing on, spending so much energy on the things that are wrong, we miss the things that are going well in our lives. Complaining is defined as expressing grief, pain, or discontent. Expressing grief, pain, or discontent. What is the big word there? Express. That doesn't mean thinking, because we think on average 45,000 thoughts a day. 45,000 thoughts go through our brains every day. How many of those do you think are negative? 75%. A lot. Many of our thoughts every day are negative thoughts, but that serves us. See, it's safer to say no than it is to say yes. We wouldn't have survived, should we eat those berries all through history, if we said yes to everything. Our species would be gone a long time ago, and this would be the planet of the apes. It's true. Also, There are people out there when I do these talks that say, I'm going to switch my bracelet with every negative thought that I have. Well, good luck with that. That's not going to happen. There's always that overachiever in the room. You know who you are. You already switched it 5 times as I started talking. Because negative thoughts are going to happen. Think about this. Have you ever been in a bank and thought, I could rob this bank? Uh-huh. Some of you have go bags in your car just in case. Okay? You know, we have those thoughts. And thoughts are free. Thoughts are free. You have to express it. And that includes the typewriter. In the typewriter. It's 1945. We're using that includes your computers as well, right? Those keyboard warriors. And we all know who those people are as well. All right. Complaining has become the dominant form of communication. It is not complaining to speak directly and only to someone who can solve your issue, okay? It's not complaining if you're speaking to somebody who can solve a problem for you. That's not a complaint. That's a request for accountability, all right? And some of you are in positions of authority where you have to solve problems for people, and it may sound like a complaint, right? It may sound like a complaint. They may come up to you stomping their feet, or they might sound like a siren going, right? That may happen. You know those people that make those sounds that come to you and they're gnashing their teeth and they're whining, right? This happens. Some of them are our children. Some of them are our spouses. When we think about this, though, here's the thing. If we look at those people, what they learned in childhood was that if they whined or they gnashed their teeth or they got angry or they stomped their feet, if they did those things, they got their way. That was what was taught to them in childhood. They didn't learn the proper steps of how to express ourselves to someone who can actually solve a problem for ourselves, right? So when you see that person, see them as a wounded child. Have a little compassion for them, which I know there's no lack of compassion in this room here today. But seriously, that's needed in that situation. Because if you can solve it, it's a request for accountability. All right, there are some myths to being complaint-free. People are always like, if I'm complaint-free, I'm just going to be a Pollyanna. I'm just going to be a font of positive thinking, positive, positive, positive all the time. Look at me, I'm so positive, and I'm just, all this positive, and, all that kind of stuff. And yes, you will be a font of positivity. You will be thinking positively. But sometimes people put that, Josh is going to be speaking. He's a positive thinker. He's going to fill us with positivity. You don't wake up in the morning and come to these sessions after last night at the bar. I saw you all, okay? Going, I want to be positive. I know you. I know your faces. I got here at 8 and you were already started, okay? And I walked past at midnight and some of you were still going. It's all right. It's a positive thing. The word positive and the word negative, this is interesting, right? The word positive means to be present. It's present. What is positive is present, and what is negative is what is missing. When we're talking about complaining and gratitude, what is positive is present. Gratitude is present. Negative is missing. Positivity and negativity. They work hand in hand. So being positive is actually a really good thing, contrary to popular belief. If you are complaint-free, you are a doormat. If I don't complain all the time, people are just going to roll right over me. Actually, it's the other way around. When you complain all the time, you're just letting those circumstances come over you without seeking accountability. You're just complaining about the circumstances, seeking attention, all of those things, and not doing anything about it. So then, yes, you are a doormat. But when you live in an era of complaint-free, you're actually focused on not being a doormat. You're focused on the solutions. And this one I love the most. People think venting is good. Who thinks venting is good? Raise your hand. One person, okay. 2 people, okay. We're going to talk about why venting actually is a huge myth. People thought, it came out this idea that if we vent and we scream and we shout into a pillow and all this stuff, that it would benefit us. So this university in Ohio did a study, Ohio State University. They brought in a bunch of students to experiment on, like they always do. I don't know why they do this to our young. They were experimenting on these college students. They brought them in, they put them in this room, and they said, here's a pen and here's a paper. I want you to write an essay. I don't care what it's about, but write an essay. And you have one page, fill the page with an essay. They filled it, they came in, they collected it. They came back a few minutes later, and they had written on the piece of paper, F, worst essay I had ever read. And they said, one of the other students graded this. They thought this was terrible. And I feel bad for you, but that's what they said. And the person would get angry and have all these feelings and get angry about it. But I wrote this. This was my essay, and all these feelings and anger. And they said, don't worry, here's a pillow. I want you to take this pillow, and I want you to scream into it. I want you to beat it. I want you to get all of your angry feelings out of it, punch it, throw it against the wall, whatever you want to do. Get it out. Bang it all around. That was half the group. The other half of the group, they said, you're probably having a lot of feelings right now. I want you to sit and feel those feelings. Just get in touch with those feelings, feel those feelings, be comfortable in those feelings. Get comfortable with those feelings. Then they came back later and they said, here, you know what? I felt really, really bad. I love this part. He said, I feel really, really bad that you were treated that way by that other person, that they wrote that about your essay. I read your essay. I thought it was good. I don't understand. What we're going to do, see, I control this thing, so I can do this. We have a glass and a bottle of hot sauce. And if you want, I'll go back in the other room and I'll make them drink hot sauce. And it's up to you how much hot sauce you want them to drink. The group that had the pillow put 3 times more hot sauce in the glass. 3 times more hot sauce in the glass than the people who just dealt with their feelings. It proves that venting does nothing but focus on the problem. It puts the focus on the problem. It doesn't focus on the solution. So those are a couple of myths. And one more thing I want to tell you about. This is actually kind of fascinating. As we're talking about the challenge in doing this, there was a hospital in Ottawa, Canada. And a couple of nurses got together and they had heard about the Complaint-Free Challenge because this became a movement when Will started doing this. It was on Oprah, it was on USA Today, it was all over the news, it was incredible. So far, we have put out 15 million bracelets. 15 million bracelets worldwide, and we don't advertise, okay? These nurses, they found out about it. They were like, we're going to do a complaint-free challenge in our hospital. And they did it, and they wrote to the Canadian government and said, this is what we did. This is the results. The Canadian government gave them $50,000. $50,000 for great workplace practices, and then those nurses went out and taught other people how to do it. Okay, they documented it, shared it with everyone. So if you want $50,000 for your ward, this is what you're going to, I'm just kidding. But no, it's fascinating that this works, all right? And there it is, Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle said, complaining is not to be confused with informing someone of a mistake or deficiency so that it can be put right. And to refrain from complaining doesn't necessarily mean putting up with bad behavior. There is no ego in telling the waiter your soup is cold and needs to be heated up if you stick to the facts, which are always what? They're always what? Neutral. Facts are always neutral. How dare you serve me cold soup? That's complaining. How dare you do this to me, to me, to me, to me, to me? There's always that to me component. How dare you do this to me? And often, one more myth about complaining, when we're asking for something to be solved like this, it may not be solved in the way we expect. Things don't always get fixed exactly how we think they should, but they do get solved if we ask for accountability and we work at it long enough. The Houston airport is a great example of this. People kept flying into the Houston airport, and they would stand at the baggage claim, and they would wait. And they would wait, and they would wait, and they would wait. And their bags would finally come, but people in that time were calling the airport going, where is my bag? Why isn't this going? Oh, no, all these problems. Why can't I get my bag? So the Houston airport did something very interesting. Instead of getting baggage claim to work faster, they moved the gates further from baggage claim so that people had to walk longer to get to baggage claim. Okay. There's always a creative solution. Before I did the complaint-free world, before I did all this, I was a complainer. I complained a lot. I'm a reformed complainer. I complained all the time about everything. And it was often, simple things, little things, annoying things, big things, lots of things, all the things. I complained about them. And I wanted to take my wife on a trip. It was our 20-year wedding anniversary. Marriage is like a 3-ring circus. You've got the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffer ring. That's my wife's joke, not mine. I love my wife, and she and I are both Anglophiles. We love England, and I wanted to take her on a trip to England. And I wanted it to be special, amazing, and magical. I wanted it to be the perfect trip. And when we make plans, someone's laughing at those plans somewhere far across the universe. So I set up my plans. I picked a hotel that was right across the Thames River from Big Ben because I wanted to open the curtains in the morning and see Big Ben. I wanted to be able to roam the city. I wanted to have all kinds of things planned for us and do all the things. But the most important thing, because I knew we were going to fly in overnight, get to the hotel early in the morning, I wanted to have like that first view of, wow, there it is, Big Ben. Open the curtains. Honey, check it out. We are here. Right? That's what I wanted. So we fly to England. Oh, by the way, I called the hotel and I said, please, I found you on the map. I see that there's windows facing Big Ben. I want that room. That's the room I want. Because on the other side of the hotel, brick wall. Brick wall, right? And has anyone been to England? Anyone been to England? Okay. The rooms are kind of small. The food is actually great. People complain about the food, but I think the food is amazing. But the rooms are kind of small, and it's a big city. London is a big city. So they were like, sir, we have the room for you. We will reserve it for you. No problem. We get there. We get checked in. My wife is exhausted. It's been a long flight. It was like 9 hours. We finally get there. We get the cab, get all the way there. She's doing this thing. I just want a bath. That whole thing. Yes, I understand. But come on up. Let's go up to the room. We go up to the room. We check in. I'm so excited. This is the moment. Months of planning to be the husband of the year. And I go like this, and my wife goes into the bathroom. She's like, I need to take a bath. The airport, the flight, it was gross. I'm going to take a bath. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get the view. So I walk up, I open the curtains, brick wall. Yep. Now, old me, I would have done a couple of things. One, I would have gotten right on Facebook, and I would be like, London, it's terrible, and I can't believe this. This is awful. I would have called the front desk, given them an earful. I can't believe this. I set this up. This is supposed to be a dream vacation. Or I would have called my mother. I can't believe this. Can you believe what they did to me? Right? Instead, I was like, I'm sure this can be fixed. I'm sure it can. Honey, I know you like extra towels. I'm going to go down to the front desk. I go down to the front desk. I see the clerk and I say, you're probably not aware of this. That's a magic phrase. You might want to write that down. You're probably not aware of this. But I asked for the room facing Big Ben. Can you make me a hero for my wife? Write that down too. Okay? Even if you don't have a wife, write that down. Okay, it's a great phrase. I use it all the time. AT&T, Charter Communications, the grocery store. Can you make me a hero for my wife? People love to make you a hero for your wife. They love it. Do it. You're probably not aware of this, but I asked for the room facing Big Ben. Can you help make me a hero for my wife? The lady looks at the notes. Oh my, I see the note. I'm so sorry. I have a room for you. Here's a couple of keys. Please go. Go up there. It'll be great. I go up. I go to that room first. I open the doors. Check. Big Ben. Good. Okay. It's a bigger room. It was a suite. It had a kitchenette kind of thing, which was like awesome. I was like, great. I go back to our room. My wife is still in the bathtub. I get all of our things. I walk all the way across the hotel. I put our stuff in the room because I want to surprise her. I'm walking back to the hotel, or to our room. I hear my wife on the phone going, I don't know, all of our stuff was stolen. I don't know what happened to it. Where is my husband? He said he was coming down there. I didn't even leave her with clothes. It's a good thing they had bathrobes. We walk across the hotel. I'm like, honey, it's okay. Everything's fine. She looks at me like, yeah, it's fine. We walk across, open it. She, I love you, right? Best trip ever. Okay? If I hadn't advocated, if I hadn't asked for accountability, I would have been a grumpy grouch the whole rest of the trip. And you know what kind of trip that would have been? Every time I woke up, every time we were going back to the hotel, every time we went, nothing would have been good enough anywhere I went. All right, that's what we do. All right. So we stay in rooms and in jobs and in relationships that just make us unhappy. Complaining costs money. Complaining costs money because when you have people who complain, all the good people leave. All the good people don't want to stick around. So you have high turnover because it feels like a toxic environment. And no one wants to be in that environment. So complaining costs businesses money. It's a competitive sport. Some of you know this. I was working in an HR conference. I was getting a Danish at the stand thing, and this guy comes limping up like this. And somebody else comes, Bob, what happened? I got up in the middle of the night, and I stubbed my toe, and the nail is black. Somebody else goes, oh, that's terrible. The other night, about a year ago, I tripped, I stubbed my toe, and I fell back, and I was on crutches for 6 weeks. Somebody else goes, that's nothing. My uncle walked down the hall, tripped in the night, stubbed his toe, hit his head on a coffee table, and he died. What's everybody going to say to that? You win. You win. Right? That's what we do. It's a competitive sport. Think about that in reverse. What if somebody came up and he was just all sad, putting a Danish on his plate, and somebody says, what's wrong? Oh, my uncle, he died. He tripped. He died the other day. Oh, I stubbed my toe and my nail is black. Doesn't work like that. It's a competitive sport. People compete at complaining. It keeps the focus on the problem. That's what we're talking about mostly here today, is that it keeps the focus on the problem. A great story to illustrate this. There's 2 guys, they're having lunch. And they're construction workers, and they sit down to have lunch. One of them opens up his box. He starts eating his sandwich. His buddy comes and sits down next to him, opens his lunchbox, and goes, his friend's like, what? It's a meatloaf sandwich. I hate meatloaf. Starts eating the sandwich. Next day, 2 guys are sitting down, same guys. First one opens the lunchbox, starts to eat, hanging out, eating chips, whatever. Eating chips, this is how you eat chips in St. Louis. No wonder we have so many problems. No. So he sits down, he starts eating his chips, eating his sandwich, drinking his coffee. The other guy sits down, opens his lunchbox, there it is, a sandwich, goes, a meatloaf sandwich. I hate meatloaf. The guy's like, I'm sorry, man. Just eat your sandwich, I guess. I don't know. 3rd day, guy sits down, starts eating his sandwich, hanging out, drinking his coffee, eating his chips. I got it right that time. Other guy sits down, opens his lunchbox. Of course, what's inside? Meatloaf sandwich. Meatloaf again. Pulls it out, rips it apart, throws it on the ground, starts stomping on it. I hate meatloaf. I just want something different. And his friend's like, why don't you ask your wife to make you something different? I make my own lunch. If you hear nothing else today, know this. You make your own lunch. All right? I'll take that. I prefer doing a gratitude list. We'll talk about that later. It's kind of important. Complaining damages health. You knew this was going to show up, but it's true. We talk about cortisol a lot. Complaining raises your cortisol levels. Stanford University did a study. They put someone in an MRI machine. Person laid in the MRI machine. And they had somebody stand outside the MRI machine and complain at them. and complain and complain and complain. They complain about anything. I said, we want you to complain about anything you want. Just keep complaining, complain, complain, complain. Everything was fine for about the first 30 minutes. I shouldn't tell this to a bunch of nurses because you're going to try this. Do it. I'd actually be kind of curious. After about the first 30 minutes, nothing. But once they hit about 30 minutes, they noticed that the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for creative thinking, problem solving, started to shrink on the person in the MRI machine. The person's hippocampus shrank. All right? It's proof that complaining makes us dumber. This is true. It does. It damages our ability. When we're talking about cortisol levels, we know that stress feeling. I feel like cortisol is like that thing when you put your car in neutral and you press on the gas and you hear that whoop, but you're not going anywhere. That's what that feels like. I have a stress response that I get a stuffy head. I don't know about some of you, but when I get stressed or anything, my sinuses get stuffy. Anybody else like that in here? No, just me. Okay, good. All right. We interpret stress in our bodies in different ways. There's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score. You should check that out. It's true. It goes inside of us, and that complaining does that to us. Now, what they also did was they had the person in the MRI machine complain, and they had the exact same results. The exact same results. After about 30 minutes, their hippocampus started to shrink. They just laid there, and they complained and complained and complained, and they saw the same thing. All right? It destroys relationships. Complaining destroys relationships. Anybody here in a relationship with someone who complains a lot? You're not going to raise your hand. All right. It's okay. You might be the one. I know I was. When someone comes home at the end of the day, what's the first thing you say? How was your day? Most times, it's not a litany of wonderful, glorious, fantastic things. It's a litany of what went wrong. What if when they came home you said, tell me something good that happened today? First thing, glad you're home. Good to see you. Tell me something good about your day. That builds oxytocin. That builds connection. That's what's missing, because what we do is we get into a relationship where we grind each other down. No one knows this more than a waiter on ladies' night. I know from experience. I was a waiter at a restaurant that had a ladies' night. And this is not a diss on ladies, so I don't want that to be that. But they would come in on ladies' night, and they would all have drinks, and they would complain about their husbands. And the things that I heard them say about their husbands or their partners was often just negative, 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 negative. And they would build on each other, and it would get worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, why are you going home to these terrible, terrible men? Right? That's what we do. We break them down because we're focusing on the problem. All right. So, the greatest gift you can give someone else is your own happiness. The greatest gift you can give someone else is the gift of your own happiness. Because when you bring someone problems, when you use their ear as a dumpster, you're bringing them down. You're harming their health. You're damaging the relationship. This is vital. I didn't even know I was doing that to my wife for many, many years. Honestly, I had no idea. I thought that's just the way the world worked. I thought that's what you did. I didn't know there was an alternate way. But I can tell you that my marriage has improved, my business has improved, and my life has improved. And it's a very simple thing, and we'll talk about it again as we go. Oh, this is actually kind of fun. We have a thing that we do reviews, much like charting or something like that, where you're keeping track of things that are going on and that sort of thing. So we do that in our business after an event. And I hired a new assistant. And her job was to go through reviews, collate them, give me the digest, and so that there was some important information we needed to give to the next performer, right? What to know when they get to the gig, what to see, and all that stuff. And she kept seeing this thing called PITA. The top of a lot of the forms was PITA. So performers would say, I went to this gig, and the client was PITA. She goes, do I need to send that to the performers and let everybody know it's PITA? It's a special code, PITA. And I was like, do you know what PITA stands for? Pain in the... Right? And so what they were doing is, we're sending out this information. We could have sent out this information to our performers saying, watch out for that client, they're a PITA. And what's going to happen if you're warned of a PITA? You're going to look for it. You're going to meet them. They're going to be a PITA. So we said, no PITAs. We're not doing that. Keep that off your review. And I'm not here to complain about complaining, all right? That is not my goal. My goal is not to complain about complaining. Let me go back one more. There it is. Good. There's 5 reasons why people complain, and you're going to learn them here today. They're very simple, and you're going to learn what to say and what to do about it. Sound good? Say yes. All right, there's going to be a little bit of work on your part too, because I know it's the end of the day. We're getting towards the end of this, and I'm going to need your energy up a little bit. I need you to help carry me through the end of this. Got it? So when I ask you to say yes, you say yes as loud and as strong as you can. I want the next conference over like 2 doors down. They're doing like a marketing meeting or something. I want them to go, "Hi, what's going on down there?" Okay, all right, ready? If you're ready, say yes. Yes. All right, I love it. Good, there we go. All right, why do people complain? We use this acronym right here, GRIPE. It stands for gripe. Gripe. That's the acronym we're going to use today. Now, gripe is a slang word for complaining. It's also Spanish for flu. Interesting. Because complaining is like a virus. Before the pandemic, this was the pandemic. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about what gripe means, because it's an acronym, GRIPE, and it goes very slow. The number one reason people complain is to get attention. Attention is not a human want, it's a human need. People complain to get attention. Have you ever noticed you step onto an elevator? You step on the elevator, you're fine when you're in the elevator by yourself. You step in, you're waiting. As soon as someone else comes in, the numbers become very interesting. 9, 8, 7. And then somebody inevitably says, "Are the Cardinals going to win anything this year? Is it ever going to stop raining? I saw the animals lining up 2 by 2. Right? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said the Cardinals. I know you guys are, what, Bears fans? Bears fans up here, right? You can blame Leanne for that. She told me to make that joke. She goes, "Make a joke about the Bears." I don't know sports ball, so you're safe with me. You could have told me anything, and I would, okay, totally fine. But that's what people do. People complain to get attention. We need that attention. There was a great show called Magic for Humans. Anyone seen Magic for Humans? Magic for Humans is on Netflix. It's this guy, he does these magic tricks that are like huge pranks. And he did this really cool prank one time where he got a bunch of people in a park. He got all these people in a park, and he said, "Okay, now here's what you're going to do. You over here, you're going to be playing Frisbee. And you over here, you're going to be playing chess. And you two, you're having a picnic and eating some cheese and drinking some wine. And I'm going to put on a magic show, and we're going to get this person to come in and be my volunteer. We're going to wait for somebody." So they get a little amphitheater going. Everybody's seated. He's waiting. Eventually, somebody walks up wondering what's going on. He goes, "Oh, you're just in time. I'm about to do a magic show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a magic show here for you today. And for my first trick, I'm going to make someone disappear." And the random guy that walked in, he goes, "You, sir, come on up here." He goes, "Okay." He comes up, he sits in the chair. The magician gets out a blanket, puts it over him. He says, "Abracadabra." He's disappeared. Now, all of the actors know to do at this moment, "Oh my, he disappeared." They're coming up to him, looking underneath him. The guy in the chair's like, "Wait, what?" It takes him a minute, but then he realizes he has been granted one of the world's great superpowers. This man starts running around, grabbing the Frisbee out of the air, moving the chess pieces, cuddling with the couple and eating the wine and drinking the wine and eating the cheese. And he does this and he loves it for about, 5-10 minutes. This is great. I can do this. I can do that. This is great. No one can see me. No one can see me. No one can see me. And then you just see it on his face. You see it settle in. No one can see me. And he starts to have a little bit of a panic attack because he realizes he can't be seen. He can't be connected with. So the magician's like, "If you're out there," he sees it. You can see this guy go all of a sudden out in the field by himself. The guy who was just having fun 5 minutes ago. He's like, "If you're out there, come to the chair." So the guy sits in the chair. He puts the blanket over, brings it back. The audience goes crazy. But that's proof that we need to be seen. We need to be connected with. So people complain to get attention. If they're coming up to you, if there's that person in your life that comes up to you and the first thing they always do is complain at you and tell you the worst things that are going on, I'm going to teach you what to do with it here. You say this. Everybody say it with me. What is going well with? Say it all together. Ready? What is going well with whatever? What is going well with whatever? What is going well with your kids, your job, anything? What is going well in your life? That's what you say to that person. You cut them off at the pass. Before they have a chance to sabotage you and turn your ear into a dumpster, make them give you something positive. Train them. Because one of two things will happen. Either they will give you something good and positive, or they won't come to you anymore. Either way, you win.